Emily Goodwin here with Writers of the Future. We're talking to friends around the world. Special guest tonight from Uruguay, Leonardo. Welcome.
Nice to meet you. My name is Leonardo Aguerrebe. I'm not going to ask you to pronounce my name because I know how difficult it is.
Well, thank you. That's why I stuck with Leonardo. I think, but thank you for putting that in there for me. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in Uruguay. I live in a small city called Minas. I mostly work in the big city called Montevideo. My first job was as a graphic designer, and now I'm working in a bank. I work mostly with fraud prevention. I write reports, study frauds, and all kinds of stuff. And I write as a hobby, basically. I've been writing since I was in high school, basically. I found out about the Writers of the Future context by accident. It was roughly 5 years ago. I was looking something on the internet. I can't quite remember exactly what it was. I think it had something to do with writing. And I ran into the context and I like it because unlike previous other contests that I have participated, I didn't have to print the work. I could send it online. I got a chance to practice my English, which isn't my native tongue, you probably noticed. And I haven't won yet.
How long have you been entering?
Roughly since I think the first time was 2015.
Nice.
Then I took a couple of years of writing and focused mostly on reading. I go to work at the bank, and have to take the bus. It's a 2-hour drive from Minas to Montevideo. So I have this app on my cell phone, which is basically a word processor. And while I'm on the bus, I use it to write my stories or sometimes read.
That's perfect. And do you prefer writing science fiction, fantasy? Like, what's your preference?
Science fiction and fantasy.
You like both?
And I like to mix them up a little bit.
And who are some of the people that inspire your writing?
Usually, the writers I read the most is Stephen King, Richard Matheson, Edgar Allan Poe. There is a local writer, Horacio Quiroga, who has written some short stories. But basically those.
Nice. And so you recently took the Hubbard Writers of the Future online workshop, right?
Yes, exactly.
And tell me, how did that go?
Went pretty well. I mean, there were moments when I was watching the videos and I thought to myself, so this is where my previous story went wrong. I'm pretty sure lots of people got the same idea when they were watching the videos. I particularly like the videos, because it is the closest thing to being actually there in a workshop. It allows a certain degree of, not interaction, but you hear the person telling you, giving you sound advice. Some of the essays I had already read, like Magic Out of a Hat.
Oh, yeah.
I think I got it from you on my mail. I kind of had read a book about Rasputin, so I kind of had that context that is mentioned that later. I think it was Orson Scott Card that mentioned the context of World War One. In the videos, were there many things that made me think all the things that I did wrong in my previous work. Basically, there was one story in particular where I skipped the ending. I went straight to the aftermath. I skipped the ending. I basically had one character explaining what had happened and mostly the aftermath, but that, according to the video, is a big no.
So you know why that story didn't win that year?
Well, I'm pretty sure that if I reread it, I'm going to find other problems. But
Yeah.
That is the one that stood out for me. Like I was watching the video and I said, no, I can't do this again.
Well, good. So now you know what you can improve.
Yeah, I'm writing right now. I have two stories that I have first draft, and when I'm done with those, maybe I'll go back to my previous stories and see if they're somehow salvageable. Like
Hmm.
I can turn out something readable out of them.
Nice. Are you part of any writing groups?
No, no, it's
Nope. I'd recommend
self-educated.
checking out the Writers of the Future forum. If you go to on writersofthefuture.com, there's a forum there, and there's people there that read each other's stories and help you out and give you tips, and you might find some like-minded people there that could help out with your stories.
I'll do that.
Yeah, it's the same place. If you go to writersofthefuture.com, where you enter the contest and also where you find the online course that we've been talking about, right there at writersofthefuture.com is also the online forum. So you can find that there. I highly recommend it. A lot of past winners are on there and people who have, who enter the contest, who have won the contest. Even judges go on there sometimes. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Okay, I consider that.
Great. And so when you were doing the workshop, you went through you went through the videos, and then you got the essays. You had mentioned you read some before. There was, I think, about 10 essays on there by L. Ron Hubbard. Were any of those? What was the most useful one for you?
But the magic out of a hat was very useful. They made it. It makes it sound so easy coming out with a story.
Yeah.
But basically, the concept not being the story, something that stuck with me. Maybe you have a good concept, something that you want to put in a story, but you don't have a story yet,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that also I figured is something that happened to me in a previous story. I put out a concept there, but
Yeah.
the story just wasn't there. And there was a certain piece of advice on one of the videos. I'm not, as a general rule, I follow it, which is if I'm writing for a male audience, male readership, I should make the main character male.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, I follow that advice, or at least all my protagonists have been male so far. But
Oh,
I'm not sure I agree 100% there. I
well,
think books like Carrie by Stephen King, the main character is a girl
sure.
going through her period for the first time, a situation I cannot relate to.
Yeah.
But I read the book and I loved it. I'm thinking about my favorite TV show when I was growing up. When I was in college, it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Again, a female protagonist, and that show is very, very successful and influential. Like,
Yeah. I mean, even Brandon Sanderson, he has a famous character named Vin in his books. So yeah, you there are exceptions, but I think
exceptions.
it's not so much like you are writing a male character and you have to be male. It's more like what's that audience going to be reading? I think that was his point.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
makes the character relatable, which
Exactly.
sound is the theory is sound.
You know, there was a story in the Writers of the Future, the volume 35. It was called Super Duper Moon Girl and the Amazing Moon Dawdler. And that was written by the winner, Wolf Moon. And he did that story, and it was about a 12-year-old disabled girl on the moon. And the judges thought for sure this was written by a young, teenage
So
girl or something, but it turned out to be Wolf Moon, who's he's not an older person, but he's a man, and it was a surprise that he was the one who wrote that. So
also know when to start your story. Leave
yeah,
the unnecessary introductions out. I was reminded of the original Star Wars movie where when you see the movie now, it goes straight into the action, but it wasn't always the case. One of the earlier cuts had several introducing scenes showing Luke in his environment, his daily life, that pretty much got cut in the editing room.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I ever had that problem. I think I go straight. the accent. I try to make the opening as engaging as possible. I don't think the opening was never my problem.
Yeah.
Mostly is the ending.
Okay. Well, hopefully now after you've taken the online writing workshop that you've figured that out now, you put a great story, submit it, and, best of luck with your submission.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And how did you find out about the online workshop?
I think it was by mail. Someone I've been entering the contacts for a while now, and I think it's John Lavati,
Yeah.
who sent who sent the invitation on my mail,
Nice.
or at least
Great.
information.
Well, I'm glad that you got that opportunity, and I hope it helps with your story writing, and I wish you the best of success with your submission. I hope you win. That would be fantastic.
I've been more than happy with an honorable mention. I keep my goals modest.
Okay. Well, that's the first step.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. All right, Leonardo, it's been great talking to you. You're the first person
Likewise.
I've interviewed in Uruguay, so thank you for that. And good luck again with your submission, and thank you for chatting.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.